All right, good morning. Good morning. I want to start by welcoming everyone and thank you for attending. This is a special day for Creighton Volleyball as we acknowledge what Coach Booth has meant to this program, while also welcoming our new head women's volleyball coach, Brian Rosen. I'll start by thanking Coach Booth on 22 remarkable years leading our women's volleyball program. I also want to thank Kirsten's family, Eric, Reese, Hayton, and Berkeley, for allowing us to borrow her for 22 years. Being a coach, Division I coach, there's a lot of sacrifice, not only on the coaching side, but on the family side. So thank Eric and the rest of your family for allowing us to have Kirsten for 22 years, and I know what toll that takes on the family. Kirsten has been a phenomenal coach, mentor to our volleyball student athletes who you see in the room, an outstanding representative of Creighton University and the Omaha community. She leaves a legacy that is amongst the best in women's college volleyball. Just give you some data here. The year before Kirsten arrived, we only won 3 games. We went 3-23 in 2002. This past year, as you know, we only lost 3 games, going 32-3 with all 3 losses in 5 sets to Final Four teams, ending the year with an Elite 8 appearance and the highest AVCA national ranking at 6. That's certainly leaving the program better than how you found it. The support for our volleyball program has also increased during Kirsten's tenure. We averaged 236 fans before she arrived. And this past season, we averaged 2,343 fans per game. And we had the single home game record in 2022 of 15,796. A lot has to do with Kirsten's leadership, her staff, and her student athletes of elevating this program to the next level. Booth concludes her Creighton coaching career with a record of 502 and 192. She's led more teams to the NCAA tournament, 14 than any other coach in the history of Creighton athletics, and her 502 victories rank 5th most time in school history. That's secondary to her impact here at Creighton. I want to give you 2 important things before I let her speak. A couple things that you should know about her, and I had a chance to get to know her over the last 4 years. She is a fierce competitor. You don't win this many games without being a dogged competitor and wanting to win at the highest level. And she worked really hard to get to this program, get the program to the way it is today. I remember having a conversation with Brian during the streak this year about her preparation for, I think it might have been the last ranked team, the last place team in the Big East. And Brian said, Kirsten prepares for that team just as much as she prepares for the first place team. And that's what allowed Kirsten to lead her team to so much success over the many years. Most importantly, she really poured into the development of our student athletes and really cared about them. She was someone that can be trusted with your daughter because she's always had what's best for them in mind. And we expect that out of Brian, out of every coach here at Creighton, and that's what was special about Kirsten. We will find the proper time to thank you in the near future, but as of now, I want to give you a big thank you and turn it over to you. So if we can give her one more round of applause before she gets to speak.
It's always uncomfortable to have people talk about you. So it's been an uncomfortable 12 hours. But it's been good to do some reflecting the last couple days as I've prepared for this moment. I'm going to try to get through it. What I've recognized as I've thought through things is how many people have played such a huge impact on my wonderful experience here at Creighton. First, I have to start with my amazing husband and my daughters. Spouses ride the highs and lows of marrying a coach. Eric has been the steady rock that keeps our household going, and he truly is the best. Thank you to my daughters, who, more than I'd liked, looked up into the stands and didn't see their mom there, but still have grown into strong, wonderful, independent young women. They have sacrificed time with me, but they've grown up to be the most incredible role models because they had role models that they got to emulate by being part of this program. I know they've gotten so much out of me being here at Creighton. As I've talked many times publicly, Terry Pettit has been a mentor and also developed into a good friend during my time here at Creighton. But many may not know that he was the person who gave Bruce Rasmussen my name back in 2003. Ras took a risk on a young, unprepared, eager 27-year-old kid. I think Terry and Ras saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself at that age. Having these incredible, successful people believe I could do this job changed the course of my life, and I'm forever grateful to each of them. There are countless coworkers who are now friends over the last 22 years that I'd love to thank personally, but there's just too many to name. They have supported me, challenged me, and made me better. Some of the long-timers that are still here that I work closely with, like Rob Anderson, Brad Schmidt, Jim Flannery, Lisa Chips, Brandon McCarville, Joe Willman, so many more that are so critical to our team's success, working tirelessly, often behind the scenes, and I can't say thank you enough for your friendship and help over the years. Remarkably, I've only had 2 athletic directors and 3 presidents during my time here: Bruce Rasmussen, Marcus Blossom, Father Schlegel, Father Lannon, and Father Hendrickson. Thank you to each of them for their support and for the support of the volleyball program. Without great leadership, we can't have the success that our programs have here. I'd be remiss if I didn't take time to thank our amazing fans and supporters. When I got here, the program was playing in a high school gym in front of mostly family, and the tickets weren't even sold. We now play in one of the best volleyball venues in the country, and we've played in front of sold-out crowds. Thank you to so many who have supported the program with their energy in the stands, and many who have supported us with their pocketbooks. As a small private school, we couldn't do what we do without our incredible donors. Most of all, I want to thank our players, alums, and coaching staff. I have to start with Angie Oxley-Barons. Angie's been on this journey with me every step of the way. Angie doesn't aspire to be a head coach, even though she'd be a great one. But she truly is the glue to this program. She's a dear friend, a mentor to me in many ways. And I feel like I'm losing my right arm. Stop crying, Angie. Not seeing Angie every day will be really hard. She truly is the best. I often say I don't do many things well, but I hire well. I absolutely believe my biggest strength as a coach was that I found, hired, and utilized great talent over the years. I can tell you I've learned so much from every assistant we've had: Paul Gieselman, Tom Mendoza, Ryan Meek, Craig Dyer, and our current outstanding staff: Angie, Brian Rosen, Adam Kesnick, Caleb Sharman. The countless volunteers, interns, GAs, all have played a significant role in building this program, and I'm forever grateful to them. Finally, to the alums and current players I've had the honor to coach, I truly don't have the words or emotional bandwidth to say all I really want to say. When I got here, I was a big sister. I became Mama Booth, and I'm getting close to Grandma Booth. Hopefully not soon. If you haven't been part of a college team, it truly becomes a family. Just like a family, you spend a lot of time together. You sometimes get on each other's nerves. You can have candid and honest conversations. You have joy when they have joy. You hurt when they hurt. You love each other unconditionally. All of this is true with this team and the teams before it. I want them to know it's been my honor to coach them. I've made plenty of mistakes, and I want to thank them for allowing me to learn, grow, and stay on board with me during this journey. Each of them will always be family. I know people want to know what's next for me. I've been getting blown up with texts, and I haven't been able to get back to almost anybody. First, to my knowledge, I am not sick, thankfully. No, I was not forced out in any way. And finally, no, this is not a retirement. I'm old, but not that old. I'm stepping away to take on a new challenge. I've watched many players graduate over the years who want to keep playing volleyball, but want to stay in this country. I want little girls to grow up and dream about playing professional volleyball here in the United States. Volleyball is the #1 girls' team sport in the country, and the state of Nebraska is a volleyball mecca in our country. I want to be part of the group that makes this happen, and successfully, in the United States. I dream of a day when all pro volleyball games are on television. The stands are packed with large crowds. The players are household names and make a great living. And a little girl in 4th grade is holding a volleyball in her hands and says, I want to be a pro volleyball player when I grow up, just like the boys dream of playing in the NBA, the MLB, the NFL, the NHL. I will be joining League One Volleyball, otherwise known as Love Volleyball, not as a coach, but on the admin side. I will do all I can to grow professional volleyball so you can continue to watch all your All-Star Blue Jays well past their graduation here. I'll be staying in Omaha, and I'm honored to have this new opportunity, and will do everything in my power to help your daughters and granddaughters have opportunities for professional volleyball, unlike so many that have come before them. And finally, I don't know if there's ever a right time to step away, but something that's always weighed on me as I've considered this is putting the program and the staff and the current roster in the best situation to continue to move forward and make the program even better. Creighton fans can be happy to know this is very much in place. Brian is absolutely the right person to lead Creighton into the future. Brian is a fantastic recruiter, great trainer, motivator, leader, and wonderful friend. Most importantly, he's an outstanding human who will continue to help the young women grow both on and off the court. I knew he was special early in his tenure here, and I look forward to our fans to see how outstanding he is. Creighton Volleyball is in great hands. Thank you for allowing me this time to extend my gratitudes. As I always tell our alums, once a J, always a J, and this is truly the case for me. Thank you, Creighton, for an unbelievable journey.
Thanks, Kirsten. Kirsten said she hires well. I hope I just hired well in Brian. I know I did. We're so excited about Brian Rosen. Congratulations and welcome to you in this role. I also want to welcome Brian's wife, Angelica, and his 2 daughters, Bryce and Brady. Brian is the 4th head coach since we brought the program back in 1994. He's originally from Orlando, Florida, and moved to Omaha with his family to work with Coach Booth. He thought this was just an amazing opportunity. I remember when you and I had the call about Brian, she was so adamant that she wanted to bring in Brian Rosen 3 years ago, and it definitely has paid off for us. As Booth said, Brian has the breadth of experience at various levels that will help him be successful as our next head women's volleyball coach. He's been a winner for over 20 years. Before coming to Creighton, Rosen served as the head coach at Division II Nova Southeastern in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where he compiled a 47-17 record. Rosen's 2021 squad won its first 13 matches and finished 25-6 while reaching the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2009. He's been a very integral part of our success over the last 3 years. For the last 3 years, Creighton has combined a record of 88-13. The 88 victories is 3rd in the country, only trailing Pittsburgh and Nebraska. He has experience with USA Volleyball, and he is an excellent recruiter and in-game tactical coach, as mentioned by Coach Booth. We believe in Brian. He has the experience, determination, and drive to continue the trajectory of our program. He's also confident enough in him, his staff, and our student athletes and current and future student athletes as well, to believe he can even elevate us. He's a confident coach, and we believe he's going to take us to the next level. Please welcome Brian Rosen.
Thank you. I think because of Coach Booth, this is the best volleyball job in the country, and I truly believe that. I want to thank Father Hendrickson and Marcus Blossom for giving me this opportunity. I'd like to thank my family who's here. I'm not even going to look at them. They are my rock, my support system. As she mentioned, just being a spouse and a family of a coach is so hard, but they are the biggest Blue Jay fans. They're at every game. Angelica will make coloring books for the players. Brady, my little one here, knows every number, every name. That's how she practices her numbers at home. And Bryce here flew all the way to Penn State to be there with us, and I just know having them there made that loss just a little bit better. And I know that Brady's hugs afterwards were a big deal for our players as well. I want to thank our student athletes for being here. I know yesterday was hard. I mean, the news for me, it was like a truck hitting us to hear the news of Coach Booth, and so to be here to support her and to support me is something I really appreciate. I mean, this is a bittersweet day. I have loved every second of coaching alongside Coach Booth here, and I wish there was a way that I could be the head coach here and keep her. I have offered her the assistant position multiple times. She continues to turn me down, but I'm going to keep trying. She is simply incredible, and it's weird to think about how I got to this point. 3.5 years ago, I got a text message from this legend coach who I had never met before in my life, asking if I wanted to give up being a head coach and come to Creighton. At that point, I had never left the Southeast before. I was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and there was just no chance. We talked to my wife. There was no chance we were ever going to move to the Midwest. But turning down a phone call from Coach Booth is not a smart decision professionally. So I said, of course I'd love to talk. And so I went in the office, and an hour later, learning about her goals, her vision for the program, her philosophies, how she puts family first. I left that conversation. I walked in the family room. I told my wife, I really want that job. And then we went looking at houses. We bought coats on Amazon, and a few days later we took off on a flight and left 80-degree Fort Lauderdale, and when we landed it was negative 19 degrees, to which she told us over and over again, it is never like this here. The next day on campus, it was pretty easy to see what makes Creighton so special, and it's the people. The community here is truly unlike any other. I got to meet people like Lisa Chips and Jim Flannery, and these people that had been here forever, Rob Anderson, and so all of these people who had been here so long, and to hear their stories about what Creighton meant to them meant everything to me. And yesterday I got a lot of congrats texts and things like that, but my favorite texts yesterday were from coaches and staff members here making sure I'm still going to be at Crockpot Monday. I'm still going to be the commissioner of our noon ball league, and those were probably my favorite texts yesterday. And so she offered me the position in her office. I committed without even leaving, and I haven't regretted it for a second. This has been the best 3 years of my professional career, and I've just enjoyed every single second here as a Creighton Blue Jay, with her, with the staff, with this program. I tell recruits and high school coaches and recruiting coordinators that this place is a unicorn, and there truly is no place like it, and that's the way I feel. I think Coach Booth has built a program here that is truly unlike anywhere else as well. She is caring about anyone who's in this program and any person she meets. She's honest, she's giving. She's meticulous about the type of student athlete that we bring in this program. Regardless of how good they are at volleyball, they have to be someone that builds our culture. And that was something that was really impressive to me. She creates an atmosphere in our gym every single day that is competitive, but never scary. Encourages risk and doesn't get upset if the ball flies 40 feet out of bounds because you were going for some kind of new shot. And that's something I think that's also really special about her. The gym is always a place of joy, but also focused. She is honest in her conversations with coaches, with athletes, but it never comes off hurtful. And I think that that's a really special thing. As Marcus said, she treats every single opponent like we are playing the U.S. Olympic team, and makes sure that our team feels the same way. As I told the team last night, I am not Coach Booth, but I can promise them that those core values and more are what our staff and I will continue to bring to this team every day. I think what's special about Coach Booth as well is she doesn't just give to our team, she gives to the game of volleyball. And I know that she'll continue to do that in her new role. I can't tell you how many phone calls she takes from young coaches, especially female coaches, to help them grow in the game or learn how to be a mom and a coach, and for me, to teach me how to be a better dad and a coach, and prioritize family. So that's been a really big thing here. She takes podcast after podcast after podcast, really trying to grow the game of volleyball. And I think what's special is there's never any selfish intent to it. It's always about growing the game of volleyball and creating opportunities for young girls, young women, and the women in our program. And I just think that that is really special. I feel like I've worked with the best coach in the country for the last 3 years, and I'm more excited to call her my friend. I think what was really special on that phone call 3.5 years ago was, at that point, as you all know, Creighton's really good. They've always been really good, or always been really good since she got here at least. And she wasn't satisfied, and that was a big part in why I wanted to be here. On that phone call, she said, yeah, we've been really good, but I want to take this program to the Final Four. And I want people that are driven to want to get to the Final Four as well. And that was a huge thing for me. It's what made that Penn State loss hurt just a little bit more. And the fact that we're not going to do it together hurts a little more. But like I told the team yesterday, we're going to freaking do it. And we're going to get there, and I know she's going to cheer us on every step of the way. We are going to continue to recruit high-quality student athletes. We're going to protect this culture at all costs. We're going to train relentlessly in the gym, and I feel like we have the best trainers over here in Angie and Adam to continue that going. We are going to give our incredible Blue Jay Nation program that they can be proud to call theirs. And we want to continue to work with our supports, that we have the best professors, the best support staff, and Lisa and her crew, and we want to continue to make sure that every athlete that comes through our program can pursue anything that they dream of. And I know that's been a big mission of Coach Booth. Whatever you come in here wanting to do, whether it's to be a nurse or to be a doctor or to be a mom or to be a teacher, that you have everything in place to be able to do those things. And that's something that we want to continue. I am so proud to call Creighton home, so thankful for this opportunity, and I hope to see all of you guys in Sokol this fall. So go Jays.
At this time, we'll take questions for the media. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll start with John Walker.
Booth, could you just walk us through what led you to this decision and what the last however long that's looked like for you, whatever the time frame might be?
Yeah, I've chewed on, I hit 50 this year. And it was one of those moments of, do I continue to do this for the rest of my career, which was a great option, or do I consider some different challenges? I always thought I'd be an athletic administrator, so that sort of stuff has always intrigued me. And then, Love had reached out. A couple of the pro teams have reached out since they started. So that's been an opportunity that's been kind of sitting there. But then the conversations got kind of serious, and the vision of what they were looking for, even though it's still very fluid on what I'm going to be doing. But I started to think maybe I can get into a different role from an administrative standpoint, and that intrigued me. So it's been on the table for the last couple months of thinking through things. And and these guys have been in the know on that. I'd talked to my staff about it. Brian has been pursued by several high-level and offered high-level jobs, and some of that came to a head a little bit of me saying, like, okay, let's do this, and you stay here and take this thing. So it was not an easy decision. My husband knows I've had a lot of sleepless nights. But I think it's, you know, I considered Creighton, I didn't know it at the time, but it was a startup in 2003. And this is a startup. And hopefully I can be part of doing something else that challenges me and, you know, help in a sport that's given a lot to me and help it into the future.
First off, Booth, just want to say congratulations and thank you for everything at Creighton, but what will you leave most proud of from this program?
For sure, the women. Mic drop there.
Coach Booth, congratulations. Let me ask you, when did you finally make the decision to move forward? How did you communicate your vision, and how did this all come together? What's the timeline on that?
What was it, about 2 weeks ago?
Last Tuesday.
Yeah. I had a conversation with Brian, and then we had a conversation with Marcus of whether this was a possibility. And it wasn't 100% sure on my end, but it looked that way. And so kind of finalized some things on the love side. So it's been, you know, a couple weeks, I would say. We told the team last night, so that was extremely difficult. I don't think so. They faked it well, if not.
Coach, you mentioned your family. How happy are you? Are you going to get to see your family a lot more, see the daughters grow up and play a lot more? And how much has it been tearing at your heart that you haven't gotten to watch them a ton, and maybe as much as you'd like?
Yeah, I mean, the pro season's in the spring, and my daughter's passion, ironically, is volleyball. So there's definitely some family things that are positives for sure. So I'll be primarily working remotely, so I'll be at home, and you know, I have a freshman at Northern Iowa, so I'll get to watch her play high school season for my daughter. So those things definitely were a factor in considering this move. And you know, it's interesting that the girls really didn't care. I think I cared a lot more. They're kind of used to it, but I'm excited for that opportunity to see them.
For both coaches, you know, we've seen coaches in other sports walk away, high-profile coaches, especially in basketball comes to mind, because of the changing landscape of collegiate sports. Did that play a factor for you? And then moving forward, Brian, and maybe Marcus can touch on it, how well positioned is volleyball in this changing landscape? You know, ironically, today is a big day in college athletics. So we'll start.
We think, right?
Yeah, we think, right?
Not real. I mean, it is a changing landscape. I spend a lot of my time fundraising right now, and I like fundraising. I like meeting with people. So I can't say that played a big part. I'm not running away from something. I have loved it here, and I told the staff last night, like I love that. I mean, it's a really cohesive group. Brian is going to continue that, and I think Creighton is positioned extremely well to be competitive, very competitive nationally. So, you know, I think Brian is the person to take us to new heights, and I think he's going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I'll just kind of echo that. Well, first of all, she's an elite level coach. She's also an elite level relationship builder, and she has done an incredible job with donors and fans and support people in this area to make sure that Creighton Volleyball is set up for success, not just now, but in the future. And she's left our program in a great place. So, yeah, I think that we are positioned to be a top 10 program in the country this year and beyond.
I'd agree with that. Brian and I have conversations. He wouldn't have took this job if he felt like we weren't in a position to continue the trajectory we were on and even elevate us, just like both of them said. So we plan to compete for Final Fours and potentially national championships if we can get that far.
Hi, for Kirsten, what does it mean to you to be able to pursue this new opportunity and grow professional volleyball while still being in the same city as Creighton and still be able to cheer on this team all this way?
Yeah, I think I remember being so scared when I took the Creighton job. And I don't know if scared's the word, but I think anytime you take a new challenge, there's nervousness and, is it going to be the right choice? But I've always told my alums as they've navigated jobs, like if there's not some fear involved, it's probably not challenging you enough. So there's that, but I think if we can't do it in Omaha, where can we do it, right? This is a volleyball mecca in the state of Nebraska. So I'm excited for the challenge. And definitely being in Omaha, staying in Omaha was a big factor for our family. This is where we want to be, and staying tied to the program and supporting and helping any way I can.
We got time for about 3 more questions.
Kirsten, you always hate reflecting, but you have no choice now. I guess considering that last December was the end, what does it mean to you that it was that type of a season and that type of a ride with that type of a group?
There's no doubt last season was a special season. And I think it was, we obviously had a lot of on-court success, but I think there's no doubt that's a part of it, but the special part of that season was that we all loved each other. We went to the gym every day. The staff, we'd talk about that we weren't putting out fires. We were just taking a team along for a journey because they're such wonderful young women. So, and I think we've been fortunate to have a lot of journeys like that. So, I've had a lot of alums reach out in the last 12 hours, obviously, and, that's my why. And that's why I feel so good about the future, is that I think that's Brian's why. I know that's Angie's why. I know that's Adam's why. I know that these people believe in building these women as women in addition to volleyball players, and I think we can't lose that in college athletics. As we start paying players to play, I still hope we don't lose sight of in such an important time of their life, to build them as women, because, most of them, even if pro volleyball goes, are going to be going into the world, and we need to create good human beings that are ready to take on the world. And I feel a lot of pride that I think we've done that, and the fact that I know that is going to continue into the future.
Kirsten, you've talked a lot about how you've changed since you first arrived at Creighton. Where do you feel like you've grown most from day one at Creighton till now, whether it be coaching, X's and O's, or more so, how to lead young women?
Gosh, all of the above. Ask Angie. I didn't know the game, so I guess I learned the game. I think, the biggest thing that I tell young coaches is learning how to communicate. I think when I was younger, you avoid conversations. You don't want to have hard conversations. And what I've learned is that a conversation doesn't need to be hard. If you have it early, if you have it honestly, if you come from a place of love, sometimes you're telling a player that they're not going to be starting. And that's still hard for me to have that conversation to this day. But I know it's much better to have the conversation than to show up and just say, so-and-so starting, and that kid not knowing why. And so I always tell young coaches, and I know the players are probably sitting there saying, you didn't communicate this to me. I always find out in post-season meetings I didn't communicate enough. But being able to communicate the hard, I think, is maybe the biggest thing that I've gotten better at. And I just think it's so important for good leadership to be able to have candid, honest hard conversations, but from a place of love. And so hopefully they don't come off as tough, it just comes off as honest.
Any last question?
For Brian, you remember when you first got here, do you remember when it felt like you were going to have a hard time leaving?
I think right away when Angelica, my wife, said, "We're not moving." I think that was honestly, like, we wanted our family to be here. Our kids love it here. We've grown so much closer here. As the D2 head coach at Nova Southeastern University, I was having to do extra jobs and all sorts of things just to be able to survive. And I feel like I gave up so much time with my family because of that. And coming here and working with her and being able to prioritize my family here has been incredible. And as I went to other places to even consider looking, I always came back to here. I continued to text Marcus after I turned down opportunities. This is where I want to be. This is where I want to be, over and over again. There is just something so special about this university, from the fans to the people to the athletes. I've been so fortunate to coach at great universities, whether it's Davidson or Nova Southeastern, smaller universities with people who care. This place is a unicorn because they don't just care about the people within the program, they care about the athletes and the sport, and there's nowhere on earth that cares about volleyball as much as Creighton University. And so as a volleyball coach, where else would you want to be? And so it was pretty early on that I knew that this place was going to be special. I only met one athlete on my visit, and that was Kiara Reinhardt back there. She was in the park, and we accidentally ran into her. And she got up to shake my hand, and that's when I realized the type of athlete we were going to get to recruit here. And so that was pretty exciting too. I was recruiting 5'11" middles who were springy and could hit really hard. And so to see, like, oh, all right, we get to recruit this here. This is pretty exciting. So it's made my job as a recruiter pretty easy.
We want to thank everyone for coming. We'll have Angelica and the family come up for a quick photo, and then we'll do some one-on-ones